to zoom out for a second, I want to bring up what argument we're making here. First of all, that Jesus actually demonstrated some similar frustrations to Henderson. The second thing is that Jesus actually diagnosed the problem of evil, and we'll get into that in more detail in just a second. And the conclusion of that is that Jesus' way, his teachings, his character is actually coherent and good and more beautiful than what Henderson's got to offer. So far, we've discussed two possible ideas that serve as an explanation for evil. The first one being that evil is simply a byproduct of natural selection. The other option is like what Mr. Buddha or Mr. Thanos offers, is that evil is a necessary counterpart to there being good in the world. For example, if there's peanut butter, there's got to be jelly. If there's salt, there's got to be pepper. If there's good in the world, there's got to be evil in the world. So let's check out and see if there's a third option. What is the biblical diagnosis for what evil is and what we or the flying spaghetti monster or whatever is running the universe should do about it? Evil in the Bible is actually pretty simple. It's simply described as something that isn't how it should be. Okay, so there is a goal, there's some target, there's some purpose, there's some end in whatever evil is. I guess it's something that missed that goal, it missed that purpose, it missed that target. For example, I've got a steak knife and a hammer, and they could be used for plenty of good stuff, except for brushing teeth. If you don't believe me, just I promise, take my word for it. Why do they suck as toothbrushes? Because they weren't built for that purpose. So what is our purpose as Homo sapiens? Well, did Jesus have anything to say about it? Fortunately, he did. Some dude comes up to Jesus and he's like, yo, Jesus, what is the most important commandment? Jesus looks at him. He's like, the most important commandment is to love God with all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your soul, all of your strength. And the second one's kind of like it. He says to love your neighbor as yourself. So essentially, our purpose as Homo sapiens is to know and love our Creator and also love the other people and stuff that that Creator made. So the story of the Bible starts off with, you've got this being who's like an artist who simply creates out of his own delight. I'm talking about God here, right? So the story starts off and God creates the stars out of his own delight. He creates out of his own delight. He creates the stars, the laws of physics, the galaxies, all matter and energy and all that. And he makes it and it was good. All right. Then it says that he makes man and it was real good. And then you have this fellowship of man in his creation. And if you can just imagine with me for a second, the fellowship that God would have with man at that pretty awesome time in history. I just kind of like to think of it as like Walt Disney, who adopts this kid off the streets and just like has all of Disneyland just reserved for that kid and Walt. And so that's kind of this setting that you have in Genesis of the Creator and man and woman, and they're just there enjoying the garden. And then what happens? Man doesn't love God. And then there's some consequences. And I'd like to take a second and look at how Paul describes it in the New Testament. In Romans chapter 8, he speaks metaphorically of the consequences of the fall from creation's perspective. So let's take a minute and check out what Paul says. It says, "For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from the bondage to corruption, to obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now." Again, metaphor of pains of childbirth. "And not only the creation, but we ourselves," talking about human and people, "who have the first fruits of the Spirit," talking about followers of Jesus, We groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for the adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. A ridiculously quick recap of the Bible, and hopefully this will make sense of some things. So, ridiculously quick recap. I hope you're ready. All right? We'll start off slow, then we're going to go pretty fast. All right, Genesis 1 and 2. Stuff's good. God with man and woman. Hey, all is well. Genesis 3. Poop hits the fan. Man doesn't love God. God takes his presence away. And then Genesis 4 through 11. Wow. Stuff goes. Okay. Everything goes wrong. All right. That's, you know, the whole Noah's Ark thing where like everyone dies. All right. So then pick up on Genesis 12. Okay. See where we are? That's Genesis 1 through 11. And then Genesis 12 through the rest of the book. God begins with Abraham, and he begins fixing things. He begins working with people to reveal his plan and his method for fixing stuff in the whole universe.